Hello YouTube, welcome back. This isn't an episode of Wrenching with Mike. This is a little different. Still with Mike, but we're going to talk about real estate today and how you can buy your own home in BC without a real estate agent. It is very possible. I just did it this last February 2022, probably the worst time you could ever buy a house. But such is life, you got to get in when you can, and probably would have been better if I would have waited few months here, but not really. It's not going to get any cheaper with the interest rates going up. It wouldn't have been any easier for me to get into a house, so I'm glad I did it when I did it. I'm really happy with the place I got. It ain't much, but it's enough for me. It's got a nice little backyard. I have my own house. I can do whatever the fuck I want to it. I don't have to contact Strata. That's all I ever wanted. And thankfully I have a basement suite that I should be able to rent out for at least $1,500, which will pay my mortgage completely. When I have it rented out, I started tearing out apart and doing a reno, so it's going to be a while before I have that ready to rock. But anyways, let's get into the tips here for buying a home without a real estate agent. All right, we're going to talk about MLS platforms and ways to find your house. Now, here in BC, we have a system that is called the MLS. From my research, it actually turns out, and this may not be completely true, I would do your own research to verify this, but from what I can tell, this system of MLS was actually developed here in BC and is owned by the Real Estate Corporation of BC. So they have a very strong hold on all the homes that are listed. And this is the key tool for the real estate agents, because this is the power for them. This is money in their pockets because of the system that they have. And it's a great system, really. You can go through and look for houses. It's great filters and everything. Realtor.ca is a go-to when you're looking for a house. There's lots of others. When I started looking, I started using Zillow because I found Zillow would actually show the date when the house was listed. And at that time, Realtor.ca was not showing the date. And I was frustrated with that because I felt like it was just retarded to list a home and not show what date it was listed on. I felt it was actually part of their tactics so that you wouldn't know if that house was just listed or not. And with all the pressure, people were forced to make bad decisions on homes because that's just how it is here in BC. I've been to showings where there's been 20 plus viewings, and we're talking multiple offers, like 8, 9 plus offers on a house. Usually with the offers that win will have minimal to no subjects, and sometimes they're cash offers. So trying to compete against this, being a young person in British Columbia, you're pretty much fucked, right? We can't make an offer that's cash. Nobody, unless your parents are rich. And you can't, in your right mind, make an offer on a home without a home inspection at the bare minimum, right? And subject to financing, because you're not going to be on the hook for that offer if you can't get financing for it. You have to have these subjects in your offer. So that's why I think that buying a home while representing yourself as a buying agent is the best course, and I'll tell you why. But let's go back to platforms that you can use. There's Realtor.ca, there's Zillow. I believe Realtor.ca now does show the date that house has been listed, thank God, which is important information. If you go to look at a house on Realtor.ca and it's been listed for say a month in this kind of market and it hasn't sold, well, then something's probably up, right? Most houses in this kind of market sell within a week or two, like max. So you can that's a very important tool. Just that date when that house was listed is really important if you want to get a viewing in, really, most of the time. So Realtor.ca is good. Zillow was all right. What else did I use? Property Guys is a good platform. They have a great real estate idea. What they do is they do a flat fee listing. They have their own sort of MLS listing on propertyguys.ca, and you can view the homes there that are being sold pretty much independently. These are homes that are for sale pretty much by owner through Property Guys. They pay a flat fee. I'm not sure exactly what it is to Property Guys, and then they can list them there. But I believe they are still responsible for all the showings of the home. I'm not completely sure if Property Guys does any of that viewings and takes care of any of that. I don't think so, because it's a very low fee that they charge from what I believe. But that is a good source to look for other alternatives at homes that could be listed for sale by owner, which is really what I think is your best bet if you're a young person trying to get into the real estate market in BC, whether it be a condo, a single family home, an apartment. I think for sale by owner is going to be your best bet, because you can remove the hefty real estate commission out of that real estate transaction and save yourself, well, I think on my home it was probably close to 30,000 that I saved, and my house was close to 500,000. So let's go over some other things here. I'm just gonna switch. All right, so once you have found a home that you think, yes, this is within my price range, it has everything I'm looking for, in the right area, or an area I can work with, what are your next steps? So I find BC Assessment is a critically valuable tool, not just for looking up your home's assessment value, which you can look up any home in British Columbia. You know, I Google my parents' house all the time, see how much it's worth. Any house in British Columbia, put the address into bcassessment.com, and you can see the assessed value. It'll be for the previous year. I believe the assessments come out in July or something. I'm not sure. I'll have to look it up. So it gives you a baseline. Now, the assessment is very much a baseline. It does not reflect the true market value. Depends on the market time, though. You see, now we're here in July 2022. We had a crazy boom, and it's just starting to slow down. Well, it's been slowing down for a bit now. So now I would say housing prices are starting to reflect and get closer to that assessed value. Whereas earlier when I bought, you could pretty much tack $100,000 onto that assessed value, and that would probably be pretty close to what that home was selling for. At least in my area of Kamloops where I was looking. So there's that valuable part of BC Assessment. I think you can also log into BC Assessment, form an account, and get more access to more features where you can actually look through homes that are previously sold. I think you can do this without logging in too, but you might as well sign up with BC Assessment, get an account so you can get the best features. At the very bottom of any home listing, when you search it, it'll show a comparative of similar homes that have sold in that area. Now, this is pretty much the same tool that real estate agents are going to use. So you can look at this comparative analysis, see when similar homes to your home that you're looking at has sold, and what at, square footage, yard area. You know, you got to take everything into consideration here. And it can kind of just give you a baseline idea of what you might have to be coming here for. You know, it's all relative to the time in the market, because the market swings, right? It goes up and down. And here in BC, you know, it just, it's always kind of doing this. It might go like this for a bit, but this is so minimal compared to how high it's already gone that it's just a correction, really. And it's still going to just bounce and be back on an uptrend within a matter of time. That's kind of how the BC real estate market has gone for quite a while. And if you look at interest rates historically, this is from my research, looking at 20-year graphs and whatnot, it has been on a historical downtrend for quite a while. So even though the interest rates right now, as of July 2022, have gone back up, and I got in at a variable rate, I think 1.4, and I haven't seen any major increases to my mortgage yet, but I know it's going to be coming, but it's still not going to be anything too crazy. So even though that interest rate, being on the downtrend it's on, may have came back and spiked up a little bit, it's all relative to how much it's come down in the past, and the fact that it is on a downtrend. So even bumping up a bit, I think, is a very temporary thing for it to go back and fall down. So we'll see. That's just my read of the trends. That is in no way saying that I know anything's going to happen. So what other key points do we have? There are other tools you can use to make a comparative analysis of sales of previous homes. You can search around. You can get some from some kind real estate agents who will share with you these figures, and many who will. I will say first and foremost that I think people are good. I think most real estate agents have good intentions. I just think that it's a conflict of interest for them, in my opinion, to do their job, really. Because if you're looking to buy a home, well, you could be the kind of person that really enjoys having that help. You know, you could be the kind of person that something goes wrong with your car, you go to somebody right away, and you like having a person to go to and talk to and feel bounce back feelings, to feel, you know, like you're doing the right thing. If that's you, go ahead, get a real estate agent. But if you're the kind of person that feels that you're capable of doing anything that you set your mind to, then I strongly urge you to try and do this yourself, because you will not only save money, but you will educate yourself. And if you're young like me and you figure, well, I'm probably going to sell this house sometime in my life and buy another one, then it's just a skill that you're going to use again and again. So to deny yourself that learning, especially based on, I've heard real estate agents tell me, well, for your first one, you should use an agent. Then you'll have a better idea. But really, if you use an agent for your first one, you're still going to have to learn if you ever want to do this again. So why not just learn right off the bat? Learn what's involved. It's not that hard, guys. It's like doing your taxes yourself. Anybody can do their taxes. If you can read and write, you can do your taxes. There's auto programs now. I use Genu Tax Standard, and it's just asks you all the questions, you fill it out. If you got all your T4s and all your information, it's easy peasy. But it just comes down to what kind of person you are, really. So with that said, I would strongly urge you to try this on your own. It's not easy, and I feel like there's going to be so many roadblocks along the way. Everyone is trying to push you towards spending money, towards doing the easy thing, when I believe taking the time, putting in the work, going the hard way will pay off in the long run, not just in the knowledge you have, but in the money you can save. Anyways, onwards and upwards. I'm going to go look at my notes and we'll talk about the next subject. Okay, let's talk about writing an offer. So you found a home using whatever MLS service you've used. You've compared some comparative market analysis to some other homes that have sold in the area that are similar. You kind of got a gauge on the market. Okay, it's July 2022. Things have come down a bit. You know, mostly I find they come down on the higher end of homes that are worth, excess of $1 million. Those can drop a couple $100,000 very easily with a market swing, whereas I find entry-level homes within the, let's say, $300,000 to $600,000 range are not swinging so much because people are still trying to get into this market, and there's still such a high demand. When just back in February, there was multiple, almost 10 offers on places, over 20 viewings. The demand hasn't gone anywhere, and the supply hasn't increased. So that's up to you to take it as you will. That's just my opinion. Anyways, we're going to talk about writing a contract of purchase and sale for this home that you want to make an offer on. Now, unfortunately, in this real estate market, everything happens very fast and it's very pressured. So it is on you to keep your head cool, stay focused. All right, so what you want to do to start this whole understanding of this writing is download a contract of purchase and sale template. Now, they're not easy to find, and I believe they're not easy to find for a reason, because real estate agents, if they lose big money on providing this kind of information, and if it's easy for you to get a contract of purchase and sale, then why would you want to hire a real estate agent if you know you can write your own offer? So I find they make them hard to find, hard to download. I will try, and if I ever edit this, I'm not much for editing. I like to go rough, rugged, and raw. But if I ever get a chance to edit, I'll try and throw a link in to where I found a downloadable template for a contract of purchase and sale. So this template gives you everything you need. You just have to fill in the blanks, people. I'm telling you, this is as easy as doing your taxes. You just have to fill in the blanks. It'll start with date at the top, who the seller is, who the buyer is. So, problem number one you're going to run into: seller's name. You can't even write your offer without the seller's name. You can't even get the seller's name without properly communicating with the real estate agent who is listing this home, the seller's agent. I have had sellers agents try and refuse me this information. I've had sellers listing agents refuse me to viewing a homes. Now, in my opinion, that is against their seller's best interest, in which they're supposed to work for. But all they have to do is say that it was their seller that said it was okay, and really, what can I do? I don't know their communications. They very much have a lot of ways they can do whatever they want. They have a lot of power, and they love that, I find. So anyways, contract of purchase and sale. The number one problem, you're going to have to get the seller's name. Now, one of the first things I ask for before I even go to view a home is a PDS, a property disclosure statement. This is a generic form that has a bunch of pre-outlined boxes, and pretty much it's a box and check kind of thing, an initial. So the homeowner, if they're going to fill it out, most of these are pre-filled out. Most real estate agents will make their homeowners fill this out so that they can have it pre-ready for anyone who wants to see it. That's, a well-done home sale. So you want to see the PDS. Number one, you'll get the seller's name off of that at the bottom of it, which you're going to need for your offer. And it has all the information about the home, goes through a bunch of different information, to structural stuff, to water information. Really important that you go over that and make sure that document is in line. If you have any more questions about that, you can leave it in the comments. It's pretty straightforward. If you read the document, it'll go through all the different things with the house. Is there insulation in the walls? They'll initial to the best of their knowledge, because it's kind of a best of their knowledge kind of form, right? There's not a lot of, what I'm saying is there is a legal course you could follow, from my knowledge, if something was wrong with that document and you found that out later, but I think it's really hard to pursue legally because they are signing it to the best of their knowledge. So it's one of those things that it's an important document, but as far as legal weight that it holds, I'm not too sure. What else have we got? I would ask for a property report before I go to view a property. I want to see just the basic outline map from above, picture with the outline of the property lines that are usually rough, and just whatever information the city has on there. What else was a good one? Well, BC assessment. You can go in and see if the home's been sold within the last 3 years. They'll also have square footage on BC assessment. The PDI, public description, identification, whatever. You'll need that for your offer. It's like the second or third thing down when you go to fill out the property address and whatnot. It'll ask for the PID, so you'll find that in BC assessment. What else? I'm trying to think of the contract of purchase and sale. You're going to need the seller's name, all this, the property information, the address. Okay, so now let's move on to the next part of the contract of purchase and sale, which is the dates. Well, actually, first it is the offer amount. You'll write that in there as a numerical and as also as written alphabetically, just like a check. That's at least how I did it. Makes sense. So there's no clip. Whoops, sorry for flipping the camera. And after you've got the amount figured out, there's also a deposit amount, and there will be a paragraph that explains in trust which law firm that deposit will be going to. So normally when I worded this, at least on my contract of purchase and sale, and this is how I was advised by real estate lawyers, and I advise you to speak with a real estate lawyer if you're going to do this, and try and find one that you're willing to work with and hopefully complete the sale with to the end. Make sure they have the time. Now, this is another factor of this whole ordeal that you're going through. An important note is that when it comes to the dates for completion, possession, adjustment, you need to make sure that real estate lawyer is going to be available for this time when you're looking to complete. Because I actually had that issue. I talked to one real estate lawyer, and then they were actually gone on vacation when I needed them, so I needed to go to another one. So you can get a lot of helpful information if you talk to a good real estate lawyer, and they should 100% try and support you in what you're doing. They may, depending on the person, because let's admit it, we're all different as people, they may try and push you that way to go for a real estate agent. Who knows? They may be the kind of person that might lie right to your face like the majority of agents and say, oh, you don't pay as a buyer. You don't pay any real estate fees. And they'll lie right to your face, just like the real estate agents. And I've actually had a lot of people give me that misconception, when I think any critical thinking person can understand that you definitely fucking pay. Whether they've reworded it, they've tried to play it, oh, the seller pays. Well, where does the seller get their money from, people? Come on, think about it. There's only one person who brings any money into a real estate transaction, and that's the buyer. Everything is coming off the buyer. If you don't believe that, don't even watch my videos, okay? Just go somewhere else, get your real estate agent, whatever makes you happy. All right? So, some points about the deposit. There's a way to word the deposit, because and I believe this is what I was referenced by the real estate lawyer, is I worded it something like this. It said, deposit will be paid within 24 hours of an accepted offer. No, sorry. Within removal of all subjects, not accepted offer. Don't forget that. So, that means, now just to back it up a bit here. If you don't understand a real estate transaction, I'm just going to try and clue you in a bit here. So, when you make an offer on a home, that offer doesn't mean shit, honestly, until your subjects in that offer have been waived by you. Now, you can do that verbally. I believe the best way is written, so that you have a record, be it email or whatever. I would have a written waiver, that's what I did, of said subject that you have, be it subject to financing. Once you get your financing all worked out with the broker, you know it's good, you can waive that subject, usually on your mortgage broker's approval. When he says, yes, we're all good, go ahead and waive that subject, you're safe. It's important stuff. Subject to home inspection. When you have the home inspection done, you can usually, the way I worded it on my subject, and we'll get into this too, wording of subjects, because I think there's a bit to be said about that. And I may have gone a bit sketchy with the way I did it, because I worded my stuff. The real estate lawyer had given me a pre-scripted thing of subjects, but being in the market that we were in, I did not feel like I could just hand out this fucking math. He told me just to send the whole list, like send all the subjects. And I was like, man, do you know what kind of market we're in? Like, the less subjects, the better here, right? For getting an accepted offer. So I had actually worded it myself using that pre-script that he had. So I had kind of the same language written, because we're talking legal stuff here. What I did also, and this is a key point, is when before you send your offer, you want to write it, send it to your real estate lawyer, have it approved, make sure they have a look over it and everything looks right to them, because they're going to tell you right now, no, you can't just say subject to home inspection. You have to say, this will be subject to home inspection on or before this date, to the buyer's complete satisfaction. Because if not, you're just saying that you just want a home inspection by this date. It's done, and then the subject could be waived legally. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But what I'm saying here is you want to have all your I's dotted and your T's crossed. You want to make sure everything's 100% legal in your offer. The best way to do it, send it to your real estate lawyer. I'm telling you, this is the person to work with. If you look at a real estate transaction and you look at how much goes to a real estate lawyer compared to how much goes to a real estate agent, then you look at how much schooling each one of those people went through, And you ask me why it's not the other way around. Why the real estate lawyers aren't getting, $8,000 out of a deal. And why the agents aren't getting $1,500. The lawyer's only costing you $1,500 or something. It's not much, people, I'm telling you. Even if I had to pay $500 extra to my lawyer for them to help me with information, I would 100% do that, because they're the persons that really matter, is your real estate lawyer. And you want to find a good one who's willing to work with you as an unrepresented buyer who's doing this for your first time. You're not going to know shit, okay? You're just learning. But that's okay, because nobody's fucking born knowing everything. We all learn somewhere. So might as well get on the learning train, right? All right, so let's get back to, we got the deposit figured out. I think you understand that. You want to, now as far as deposit amounts, this ranges quite a bit. I've heard about people going crazy with deposit amounts. For me, from what I've heard, you can go like 1% is pretty standard, or 2% or something like that of the total price. I think I went $10,000 on my $500,000 house is what my deposit was. And the deposit's a bit of security for that offer, so that, these sellers know that now you're invested. And once you've removed your subjects, they have got that deposit. And if you, for whatever reason, fall through now, they are legally able to keep that deposit because you did not keep up to your end of the contract, right? So that deposit will be, it'll say right in the paragraph there of the contract of purchase and sale, that deposit will be held in trust at the law firm that you choose, which will be your real estate lawyer, until the subjects are removed and waived. So moving on to the next part of the contract of purchase and sale. I'm doing this all from memory too. I'm not even looking at one. And this is a couple months ago now that I did mine. The next part that I'm remembering would be the dates, the critical parts. And as far as dates, I want to give you guys a bit of a tip here if you're buying a home on your own. What I worded mine as, since I wasn't in a scenario where I had to sell a house to get out, to move into this one. Me and the old lady were living at her mom's place, so we had no time limits that we had to be out. For my dates, for adjustment, possession, completion, I wrote to be decided by seller. So it gives them a bit more of an option if they have something that they're waiting on to decide. This is just a way that you can help yourself and help your offer a little bit, is if you write for those dates to be decided by the seller. So it leaves you really open. I think you could put a bit of a time frame on that, like to be decided by the seller before this date, and give it a couple weeks or a month or something, if that works for you. I found that was really helpful with my offer, and I think that's a key point that I would take away from this is leaving the dates up to the seller to decide can be a good reason for them to accept your offer. So with dates, possession is when you'll actually take possession of the house and be allowed to move in on that day and get the keys and she's yours. Completion and adjustment are, I don't like to say things and have wrong information, be spreading misinformation, but I know two of the dates are pretty much the exact same thing. I believe it's possession and complete. No, it's completion and adjustment. I can't fucking remember. Okay, it's been a while since I did it. Either way, two of the dates are the same, and they're pretty much meaning that adjustments is when you take responsibility of the bills for the house, the mortgage, the date when that starts. And I feel like the adjustment is usually one day before normally. So I think we've covered the dates as far as a contract of purchase and sale goes. If you have specific dates, obviously you have to use those. You want to make sure that you have sufficient time in your dates, if you do put dates down, that you can get your home inspection done, you can take care of your financing, which takes longer than you might think sometimes. You want to have all your ducks in a row. All right, that's all I'm saying. So we've talked about the dates. I think that's pretty cool. Next thing I'm going to move on to from memory is included items and excluded items. So this can be a big thing depending on the house you're looking at, if it's furnished or unfurnished, blinds, stuff like that. When you view the house, you want to find out what is included. This is one of those critical questions you ask your real estate agent or the agent who is showing you the home, is what is included in this house. You want to make notes of that. Every home you go to and you view, you need to be making notes on everything about the house. And that should be one of your questions is, I lose my train of thought that easy. Was I talking about when they want it? Well, that's another thing. That's another good question. My brain's all over the place. Is the seller's preferred closing date? That is one of the main questions that I ask, along with included items. That's where my brain was, sorry. Included items. It's good to know what's included with the home. List that down, and that has to be included in your offer, written in, because if you don't, and you viewed the house with blinds, but you don't include that in your offer, they can take the blinds, and it's your own fault for not including it. So think about that. Excluded items, you could throw that in there. I'm not sure how much that will protect you, but again, I would talk with your real estate lawyer about that. That was another hint that I was getting onto there. A good tip is always when you're viewing a home, ask the real estate agent, what is the seller's preferred closing date? When would they like to sell? And then you can structure your offer around them when they're looking to sell. If they, they might have another house that they have an offer on, but they need to sell this one first or something. You want to try and work with them as a buyer. You want to try and give them what they want, because you're the one who's on the low end of the stick here, especially as a buyer like myself, who's first-time home buyer. So that's a good tactic, I find. Find that out right away. Write it down. You want to know when the seller's preferred closing dates are. And if you don't know, like I said, you can always just leave that open on your offer and write dates to be decided by seller or some other script of that sort. So we went through the dates. We've been through the excluded or included items. What else is there on there? Now, most of the other information on a contract of purchase and sale is in short paragraphs. There's a bunch of different things that it goes through. You want to read through everything. You want to have a thorough understanding of what you're about to present and offer. All right. Now, at the bottom, it comes down to viewed by, viewed at this time, because that could be important too. You know what I mean? You want to make sure you get the right time when you viewed it, so everything's the same when you viewed it, when you take possession. And at the bottom there will be your signatures, which you'll sign and send an initial. And then if you get an accepted offer, they will send this contract of purchase and sale back to you with a signed part on the bottom. And now it is up to you to start removing your subjects. Calling home inspectors, calling the mortgage broker, getting all your ducks in a row so that your finances are ready so that you can waive the subjects. That's another thing I didn't talk about. We didn't talk too deeply enough about subjects. So, subjects that I would say you have to include if you're a common sense kind of person is subject to home inspection. Okay, everyone's going to want a home inspection. You're going to want to know from an independent source what is up with that home. I'll forewarn you that it's not the end all, and even taking legal action from there, they're very well protected. And I think trying to take a legal action on a home inspector, say if something was wrong or misidentified, would be very tough. So you get the information you get, and you just got to be thankful that you can get an outside opinion on it. And it's definitely worth it. About $600-700. I had to pay for one in another place that I had got an accepted offer on, and I actually walked away after I seen the home inspection. I was like, my God, how did I fucking offer so much for this place? I'm an idiot. Anyways, I offered $560. It just sold for $420. Thank God. Anyways, so other subjects, subject to financing. If you're like me and your parents aren't crazy rich and you're coming up with all your own money, then you're going to be subject to financing. And this is where you have to work together with a mortgage broker. Well before you make this offer, you have to have talked to a mortgage broker. You have to have your ducks in a row. You have to tell him what you want. He's going to tell you what you can afford. I would advise talking to multiple mortgage brokers, never just one. As with anything, you know what I mean? You need to get multiple opinions. You can even shop around with these guys to see who's going to give you the best rate. Now, they'll offer you different products, different mortgage products, insured, uninsured, variable, fixed. I'm not going to get into that too much. That's for somebody else to talk about. I personally believe in a variable with the historic downtrend of interest rates. The way I read it, at least, is I believe it's very temporary. It's going to continue down eventually, in my opinion. So I believe a variable was the right way. But that could be up to you. My buddy got fucking into a fixed rate on his place for like 1.2 or 1.3 year before me, and that would sure be nice. But anyways, I'm not going to go too much into mortgages and differences, but I'll tell you one thing. If you can save more than 5% for your home, hopefully closer to 20%, and put that down on your house, you're going to be in a lot better position. Now, I know that's not possible for most people, but if it is possible for you, I would 100% try and go that way. You're going to have way less of a mortgage. You're going to be able to get on, I believe it's uninsured. Don't quote me. Either way, coming in with more money as a down deposit, you're going to get yourself a better deal. You're going to have more negotiating power. So, if you can, I would advise that. I think we've covered everything. Well, at least basics of contract to purchase and sale. If you have any more questions, you can leave it in the comments. I'll try and get back to you. I have faith in you. You can do this, but you have to believe in yourself. That's fact. If you don't believe in yourself, you won't get anywhere. Thanks for tuning in. We'll get back to you on the next subject here. I'm just going to read my notes. All right. We're going to talk about viewing homes as a self-represented buyer. Now, I've had a lot of problems with this. I had real estate agents who refused to show me homes, and I actually complained to the board of real estate agents and had them reprimanded for that, because in my opinion, that's not working in their seller's best interest. Now, that agent actually told me that it was his seller who said that. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but that's the kind of power that these people have to make decisions. They can say that their seller did that, and they can get away with it because they can say that. You see where I'm going here. These people are often very fraudulent, extremely scammy, and are not looking out for your best interest. I can guarantee you that. In my opinion, real estate agents in general, there's a conflict of interest there, because a person can't work in your best interests when they have a financial gain to come out of it. You know what I'm saying? It just, to me, that's a conflict right there. How can they represent your best interests when they have something financially to gain out of it? Think about that for a bit. Anyways, the most common phrase real estate agents use is, "Oh, you don't pay anything as a buying agent. Why don't you use a buying realtor?" And this, I had lots of people told me this, spread misinformation to me like this. And I said, listen, think about it. Just think about it, people. There's only one person who comes to a real estate transaction with any money, and that's the buyer. Everything is coming off the buyer. If you don't believe that, like I said, don't even watch this video. It's not for you. You're that kind of person. Liberal. Anyways. Fuck it. Sorry, I get fucking brain farts all the time. So we're talking about representing yourself, viewing homes. So you're on realtor.ca. Boom, new house pops up. Yeah, looks sweet. I want to check this one out. I got to get up there. This house is going to be sold within a week. All right, what do we do? Well, first, like I said, you want to get the PDS, property report, any possible information they have on this home before you go to view it. Don't waste your time. You know what? You can even get a title search. I'm telling you, you can even get a title search and know before you go to view this home that this is a clean title, like right away. That should be one of the big things, right? And that was one thing I forgot to include on the contract of purchase and sale. Being of clean title is literally written in there, and it's part of the agreement. If it's not of clean title, the agreement would be null and void because it states it in there. So there are a lot of things in that contract of purchase and sale template that are built in to protect you, thankfully. But I would make sure, if you're going to view a home, get all the relevant information you can get before you go. Okay? Get geared up so you know what you're going to look for. You know as much about the property as possible. Bring a notepad. Now, if you're like me, you're representing yourself, you're going to have a lot of agents give you a lot of guff because they fucking hate people who represent themselves. They don't like showing you houses. They just don't like you in general. They're just pissed that you can think for yourself and don't want to pay one of their buddies big bucks to not do a whole lot. So, I'm telling you right now, you're going to get a cold shoulder, but you have to be strong mentally and persevere because you can do this. So, in my situation, I had a few homes here in Kamloops, which the real estate agent could not make himself available to show. So he asked me to call an agent in town and get him to show me the home. So I said, okay, fine. Now this agent in town booked me in for 15-minute slots to view these two homes that I wanted to view. And it started at 9 in the morning. So it was very early. I drove out from the Lower Mainland to make it there for 9 in the morning. He lived in Kamloops. 15-minute slots. So I found out about this. I said, 15-minute slots, man? Like, you really think I could look at this house and put an offer on this house after viewing it for 15 minutes? Like, the last used car I bought, I might have spent like almost a fucking hour looking at it. But you expect me to only spend 15 minutes looking at this house and really make an offer? Anyways, I ended up fucking taking a half hour or so, a little longer, and he was too happy about that. But, you know, if I'm going to look at something, I'm going to look at it thoroughly, and that's just how it's going to go. Anyways, we finished viewing the second house there, and they were literally about 2 minutes apart as far as distance. So it's about 10:30 now in the morning. We're all done. And he says, so what do you think? You want me to get started on an offer? And I said, well, then I kind of filled him in on what was happening with me. I said, well, listen here, man. I only called you because I had to. I've been trying to represent myself. But writing my own offers, it's just really fucking hard, man. Like, I don't even, really know where to come in on this place. Like, my first place I put an offer on, I came in at asking price, $525, and didn't even get a fucking hint of a reaction or nothing like that. I think that house sold for $560 or something, like way above. I wasn't even in the ballpark. And I thought for sure I'd get a counter offer, but this is part of the learning. You kind of have to figure out where that market is at. And you'll do that once you put an offer or two on homes, and don't start fucking high and start low and get that feel, that ballpark. See if anyone's willing to negotiate. If no one's willing to negotiate, well, then you're fucking way too low and you got to adjust, right? It's all depends on where the market's at too. From when I bought in February to now in July, I would have had a lot more, let's say, wiggle room and negotiating room with this place that I bought. But at that time, it was pretty much buck up. So, is what it is. Anyways, geez, I lose my train of thought so easy. We were talking about, fuck's sake. Sorry. So we were talking about viewing houses. When you view a house, you want to look at fucking everything. You want to take your time. You want to go through this thing with a fine-tooth comb. Right from the foundation to cracks in the foundation, any sign. Bring a level. Like if you're a tradesperson or someone who knows a little bit about anything, bring a level with you. Even a little torpedo. Just so you can chuck it on the floor and be like, oh, well, yeah, that slope's pretty good that way. Chuck it on the wall and be like, okay, that wall's out. I'm telling you, this kind of stuff is super important. You can throw it on the slab, see if the slab's leaning one way or something, if it's settled funny. That's super critical. That I would almost always went with a bubble stick around when I was viewing homes. Another thing I would say is don't let the agents distract you. I find that a lot of them like to talk a lot when you're viewing and like to try and direct you to areas of the home. Whereas I find I was really the only person that when I was viewing, and I viewed homes with a lot of other people who kind of flew through in 10, 15 minutes and looked at this and said, oh, the furniture's nice, and they're gone, right? And that's your prerogative. If that's what you want to look for in a home, is the furniture and the staging accessories. If that's what really sparks your interest, then cool. But for me, I tend to look at things structurally with the home and things like the roof. That's always a good point there, you know. You don't always have a good view of the roof from the front of the house or from the back of the house when you're viewing a place, but you know what? Step back a bit. Take a little walk to a little high ground. Find a spot where you can get a good view of that roof. Bring binoculars. There's lots of different ways that you can do the due diligence yourself instead of relying on an agent to kind of blow sunshine up your butt and then find out later that you're dealing with all this kind of stuff, right? So I want to get into reasons from viewing homes, which there's a lot you could talk about. It's endless. There's so much. To reasons why you should represent yourself. I think you should represent yourself because you're capable, because you got a good brain on you, and by falling under the notion that you're not capable of making a real estate transaction yourself, I think that's playing into a bit of the real estate agent scheme, is that you're not smart enough. You're not, like they act like they have some sort of hidden knowledge in dealing with real estate that you could never attain. But I'm telling you right now, it's very attainable. You can definitely buy a house on your own. You can definitely sell a house on your own. And, so when it's selling, it's a little different. I think you might be better off to use an agent just for access to the MLS system, which they hold a fucking stronghold on. Just, of course, I would too if that was my market share and all my work was relying on that. I'd hold on to that fucker for dear life, wouldn't you? So, the main reasons why I think you should represent yourself as a buying agent and not rely on someone else is for your own knowledge and for your own well-being. Because who knows, maybe you're older and you think, oh, I'm never going to buy another house again, I'll just get an agent. Okay, fine. But if you're like me and you're younger and you think, oh, I'm probably going to sell this house and I'm probably going to buy another one, probably multiple times in my life, hopefully, then why would I pay a real estate agent each time and never gain any knowledge when I could learn this process, do it myself? And now I appreciate and enjoy hearing outside opinions about things. Actually, I really, really try and learn as much as I can, and I'm really open to hearing different opinions. I think that's a critical part in life, to be open-minded. But when it comes to real estate agents and their knowledge of homes, specifically what they're there to sell, can be quite lacking in their actual knowledge of anything useful. So I just think that you shouldn't sell yourself short, that you should have faith in yourself, believe in yourself that you can do this. Do the research. And if you're not the kind of person who's going to sit down before you do something and learn about it and do the research, if you're just going to jump into it, just start writing offers without any sort of research, then this probably isn't for you. This is more towards people who are willing to take their time, people who do their own taxes, people who try to do most things on their own that they feel they're capable of. And I think that's a big thing with this real estate market, is the agents like to make you feel that you're not capable, like you're not able, you're not smart enough, intelligent enough, I don't know. But I'm telling you, you very much are. You just need to have faith in yourself, do your research, do your due diligence, and in the end you'll have knowledge, and that's worth a whole lot more than money, really. Anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys. I know this was quite the rant. Did a bunch of videos. I'm gonna have to piece them together, try to make something still rough, rugged, and raw. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you learned something. Leave some comments. If you want any more information on anything, I will try and share my knowledge, because I believe that's what this life is about, is sharing knowledge. And I've had so much knowledge I've gained off of YouTube in many different aspects. So thanks again, guys. Rock on. Buy your own house. Represent yourself. Be a badass. Don't take no for an answer. Hello, YouTube. Welcome back. This isn't an episode of Wrenching with Mike. This is a little different. Still with Mike, but we're going to talk about real estate today. and how you can buy your own home in BC without a real estate agent. It is very possible. I just did it this last February 2022, probably the worst time you could ever buy a house. But such is life, you know, you got to get in when you can, and probably would have been better if I would have waited a few months here, but not really. It's not going to get any cheaper with the interest rates going up. It wouldn't have been any easier for me to get into a house, so I'm glad I did it when I did it. I'm really happy with the place I got. It ain't much, but it's enough for me. It's got a nice little backyard. I have my own house. I can do whatever the fuck I want to it. I don't have to contact Strata. That's all I ever wanted. And thankfully, I have a basement suite that I should be able to rent out for at least $1,500, which will pay my mortgage completely. When I have it rented out, I started tearing out apart and doing a reno, so it's going to be a while before I have that ready to rock. But anyways, let's get into the tips here for buying a home without a real estate agent.